Good evening. Many thanks for tuning in to Kenya's third most preferred TV station. This is Switch TV News at 7. I am Lincoln Obogo. Our sign language interpreter is Michael Maithia, and these are the top stories. President Kenyatta finally makes Ukambani tour as he tags along Raila Odinga in Kalonzo Musyoka's backyard. GSU officers deployed in Marsabit County to restore order amidst escalating community conflicts. Security forces are still on a manhunt to detain rogue police officer Caroline Kangogo. Glad you're watching. Over 30 minutes of the broadcast begins now. The selection for the appointment of commissioners, the Independence Elections and Boundaries Commission IEBC, has entered day 3. Felix Uhuru Nyauchi, former Gwasi Member of Parliament, was among the 3 candidates before the panel. Nyauchi, in case he gets the position, said he will curb political interference of the IEBC. Caroline Sume with more.
Good morning, Madam Mayor.
Felix Uhuru Nyauchi, former Gwasi Member of Parliament, was among the 3 candidates before the panel. In case he gets the position, Uhuru says he will curb political interference at the IEBC Commission. Kon Omore Osendo, governance advisor who is seeking the position for a second time, says Kenyans should not go back to ballot box type of voting as it contributes to irregularities in the election process, should rather leverage on technology.
Probably just ensure that what we have is checked and improved. But yes, a bit of enhancement, because if you go back to manual, manual processes, while they are done in many other countries, I think in Kenya there's still a lot of mistrust for a manual process. So in my view, I wouldn't go back to manual, but I would still see how to ensure that the technology works better.
Dina Jeruto, also a candidate who sat before the 7-member selecting panel, said in case she gets the commissioner position, she will work hand in hand with media stakeholders to ensure the media preaches peace and does not become an avenue for inflaming war.
My expectation of the media is to offer fair media coverage. The mainstream media, as well as the various small media houses, particularly those that are aligned to a particular ethnic group, to really impress upon them the role they play in either Kenya banning or Kenya remaining safe.
Today marks the end of week 1 interviews. 9 candidates down, 27 more to go. Caroline Suma, Switch TV.
Thank you, Caroline Sume. Moving on, Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai has deployed a General Service Unit in parts of Marsabit County to restore peace and order after 2 ethnic communities clashed, leaving 7 people dead and mass destruction of property. Mutyambai has issued a stern warning to perpetrators involved in the chaos in the county and asked them to surrender or to face the wrath of the law. The communities have also been urged by the Inspector General to explore diplomatic and lawful ways of conflict resolution. However, Marsabit County has been witnessing these clashes for a decade that are escalated by competition for grazing land, water access points and ethnic territorial expansion. But some of the residents have argued that the violence might be politically instigated. There have been concerns of rising cases of insecurity in the region as we are heading to electioneering period. Elsewhere, President Uhuru Kenyatta finally makes his Ukambani tour as he tags along Raila Odinga in Kalonzo Musyoka's backyard, with regional leaders attending on invitation only. The visit meant for the inspection of the multi-billion shilling Konza City in Machakos and Thwake Dam in Makueni turned out to be a peacemaking arena for regional leaders recently seen to politically disagree. Hadi Musiwe has more.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has finally made the long-awaited visit to Lower Eastern Ukambani, accompanied by his ally ODM leader Raila Odinga. In his speech, the president has castigated those criticizing and politicizing his focus on development projects.
Tuwasema tuwataka stima, sio kwa sababu watu wanakula stima, lakini hiyo stima inasaidia kijana kule kijijini kuanza kazi yake ya jua kali, kuanza kazi yake ya welding kidogo hapo, kuhakikisha wameweka barafu maziwa yake isiharibike. So infrastructure is important. Kwa hivyo kwa wale ambao hawaelewi ni kwa nini tuwafanya haya, wajue ya kwamba hatutaweza kumaliza shida ya ukosefu wa kazi kwa vijana wetu. Hatutaweza kuinua hali ya maisha ya wananchi wetu bila infrastructure.
With invites only, the visit brought together regional leaders, many refuting the recent political differences displayed in Ukambani.
Nataka niwahakikishie watu wetu kwamba hakuna tofauti zozote za sisi wanasiasa. Lakini ukisoma maneno ya magazeti mengine ya ajabu kwamba Kalonzo na Uhuru na Raila walikutana State House, sijui wanazipata wapi hizi. Hakuna mambo kama hayo. But we can see the urge for unity, and that's what we guarantee, Mheshimiwa Rais.
Tulikuwa na shida wakati ya siasa zile zingine. Hiyo ikiwa tulifanya makosa sana tusamee. Bisa na mwisho, kwa sababu Bwana Kalonzo amesema mambo hii yote ya siasa ndogo imeisha. Watu wake wale wengine wako huku chini walisema nipelekwe discipline ya Wiper. Labda utamueleza hiyo sio nzuri.
The multi-billion Thwake Dam will not only supply water to residents of Kitui and Makueni counties, but also to residents of Konza Techno City in Machakos, establishing irrigation schemes to remedy the scarce food supply.
Kwa sababu sisi tunajua umekuja kwa kuzindua kazi ile umefanya, na hakuna siasa ndogo zitaharibu kazi yako.
Expected to be completed by June next year, the Thwake Dam project is hoped to be the change that most Ukambani residents wish for. Hadia Mwasiwa, reporting for Switch TV.
Thank you, Hadia Musiwa. Security forces are still on a manhunt to detain rogue police officer Caroline Kangogo, who has been missing in action for the past 5 days. Deputy Inspector General of Police Edward Mbogwa has said the security agencies will be able to detain her sooner. Namukene Samuel reports.
Deputy Inspector General of Kenya Police Edward Mbogwa has warned Kenyans against blaming the whole police force of the recently rise in rogue police officers. This is after a noticeable recently sharp rise in the cases of misbehaving men and women in uniform.
It doesn't mean that when one officer becomes rogue, that all officers are rogue. What is there is that a very small percentage, and it is with each and every society, including the members of the foreign state. Not all of you are 100%. There are some of you who are also rogue.
This is after a multi-agency team comprising of the police, the military, and all the elite units of the DCI being on pursuit, with several traps laid down to hunt the policewoman suspected of killing 2 men in Nakuru and Juja, Kiambu County.
Even the words of the IG, that we, the members of the public, expect the police to do well. We don't even remember to thank them for where they are doing well. We only complain when they don't do when they make some mistake, or when there is a rogue officer who does something wrong. But we forget that out of that one rogue officer.
Our police work is not an easy job. It is a job that is a sacrifice. When everybody else is sleeping, we are awake. When there is a crime scene, we are the ones who are supposed to be there, collecting dead bodies, relating with people who have harrowing experiences. And it is true, we need psychosocial support.
Cases of police officers going rogue has been on the rise for the past few months, as many claim this rise is due to stress levels brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic, which has ravaged the country, has had an enormous effect, not only in the police force but also the general public.
At least in every county there should be somebody who is professionally trained as a counselor to be doing debriefs once you have been engaged, maybe in a shootout, maybe you have been collecting dead bodies, maybe you have received harrowing experiences.
Edward spoke during the launch of a renovation plan by the Family Bank of Kenya. The bank has pumped in 3 million to renovate the Nairobi Central Police. Namukana Samuel, Switch TV.
Thank you, Namikene Samuel. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoe has stamped poor parenting as one of the factors attributable to alcohol and substance abuse among children. Speaking during the launch of the National Guidelines for Alcohol and Substance Use, Prevention and Management, the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Substance Abuse, NECADA, has stated that 20% of primary school children abuse drugs. Here's Rachel Duarte with more.
Alcohol and drug use in institutions of basic education is a growing problem that needs urgent attention. According to research by the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NECADA, schools are not drug-free places. The common sources of drugs include from kiosks, shops, and bars near school, friends, and school workers. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoe noted that many children learn through imitation and observing what their parents do.
We're not firm enough because we sometimes sugarcoat. For example, a drug could be very lucrative, and you see it being abused by our youth, but you can't touch it because it's a cultural issue and it's a political issue. An example being miraa. You don't touch miraa. To touch miraa, you have touched a live wire. Are we together here?
In the House. The Principal Secretary under the Ministry of Interior, Karanja Kibicho, also cited research by NECADA pointing out that alcohol is the most abused substance, with 12.2% of persons aged 15 to 65 who are active users. He also pointed out that law enforcement officers would be used to help counter drug abuse.
My ministry is regularly conducting compliance checks to ensure that there are no alcohol selling premises near institutions of learning for persons below age of 18. In addition, law enforcement officers are well briefed on stamping out underage drinking as stipulated in Alcoholic Drinks Control Act of 2010.
According to the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, alcohol and substance abuse is not a new phenomenon in the education sector, adding that there is need to come up with guidelines to protect both learners and the workforce from this phenomenon.
TSC have a workplace prevention policy on alcohol and drug abuse, and it stipulates the strategies to mitigate the impact of alcohol and substance abuse amongst its employees. And in this regard, the Commission endeavors to continuously enhance and coordinate alcohol and substance use prevention, early detection, rehabilitation, and management amongst employees through education, advocacy, empowerment, enforcement, and partnership for a productive workforce.
Schools are required to create and promote a child-friendly learning environment, eliminating alcohol and substance abuse, and this is a major achievement in enhancing access, retention, transition, and completion. According to research, drug abuse not only affects learners, but also affects people in the teaching fraternity. The government therefore needs to develop a strategy in order to counter the barriers related to drug abuse. Rachel Ndwati, Switch TV.
Thank you, Rachel Duarte. Now, this is just a tip of the iceberg on what we expect in our weekly edition of Bunge la Mwananchi with Majibu Kitsao after a short commercial break.
Mtu akikamatwa ameiba mali ya umma ama mali ya mwananchi, wanyonge watu kama hata 1,000. 1,000 ya Kenya itabadilika. By the way,
unahitaji hiyo kazi.
Mimi nahitaji hiyo kazi ya kunyonga hawa wakubwa wale wameiba hii nchi yetu.
Kama unajua ya kwamba wewe ni suspect, kuanzia national government, kuanzia international, ukuje national, mpaka local, jua ya kwamba maisha yako.
Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. A section of Kenyans are blaming the judicial system for continued corruption in the country, and mainly because the delayed corruption case is still pending in court. In our weekly edition of Bunge la Mwananchi with Majibu Kitsao, some believe the prevailing role between the judiciary and the executive is a cause of why many offenders have not yet been brought to book. Take a look.
Wakenya wengi wanasafa.
Tunajua pesa ni mingi Kenya, lakini iko kwa mifuko ya wachache.
Uchumi wa nchi unazorota. Nchi ni yetu sote.
fresh war of words between political arch rivals, ODM leader Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto over the war on corruption has again erupted. Who is to blame? What should be done? Why are corruption cases taking so long before culprits are brought to book? It is a conversation we'll be having here at the Bunge la Mwananchi. Join me.
I myself, I wonder why we created the 47 counties. Because creating 47 counties is like creating 47 billionaires. When it comes to corruption, unless we change our way of governance, otherwise corruption is not going to end.
Tunajua wafisadi, hatutawataja kwa majina, lakini sisi tunawajua sana. Na mimi ninasema hivi, kulingana ile serikali inayokuja kuanzia mwaka 2022, tumeanza mikakati tuko nayo ku make sure kwamba hayo magereza na majela yote yanapanuliwa, kwa maana wezi wanafaa waingie katika jela, katika magereza, kwa maana hatuwezi ishi katika nchi ambayo kila mtu ni mwizi. Sasa shida tu ni kujuana nani ni mwizi, lakini kila mtu ni mwizi. Kama unajua ya kwamba wewe ni suspect, kuanzia national government, kuanzia international, ukuje national, mpaka local, jua ya kwamba maisha yako ikatarini 2022.
Mimi kwa maoni yangu, kwa wale watashikwa na hatia ya wizi, ni vizuri sana wahukumiwe kunyongwa. Na ikiwezekana hata sisi mtu mmoja atoke hapa kwa hii kikao yetu. Kama mimi sana nahitaji hiyo kazi ya kunyonga hawa afisadi. Unasikia? Mtu akikamatwa ameiba mali ya umma ama mali ya mwananchi, wanyonge watu kama hata 1000. 1000 ya Kenya itabadilika by the way.
Unahitaji hiyo kazi.
Mimi nahitaji hiyo kazi ya kunyonga hawa wakubwa. Wale wameiba hii nchi yetu.
Unastahili uelewe kwamba watu wakora ndio wale utembea kwa makanisa. Ukitaka kuona mwizi kamili, huwa anamtaja Mungu mara mingi, kwa sababu yeye mwenyewe anajua kwamba yeye ni mwizi. Ndiposa Yesu Kristo alisema, ole wenu Wafarisayo, wasomi wa sheria, watu wanafiki, wasomi wa Biblia, wale mnashinda kanisani mkitoa sadaka kubwa, kwa hiyo watu vile mko afadhali, na huko nyinyi ndio mnaibia watu.
Maoni yako, je, unadhani ni kwa nini kesi kuhusiana na ufisadi humu nchini zinachukua muda mrefu sana?
Hiyo swali ambayo umeniuliza ni swali la maana sana. Nataka kuambia kwamba ile mawe ambayo kanda ni ya maji ndio chafu. Kwa hivyo wale wako ndani ya government, second in command, third in command, sijui ni nini, hao ambao wanajiita deep state na hali kadhalika, hao ndio undelay, kwa sababu hao ndio kula pesa.
The reason why cases are taking too long is that utenda unapata judge anapewa kitu kidogo, kesi inapelekwa 2027, 2030, so haitaisha.
Shida ni mahakama.
Yes.
Swala mzima ni sheria hiyo ambayo ina guide hiyo process ya kuingia kotini, ya kudefine nani atachukua na nini wakili wanatumia loophole, kesi inachukua miaka mingi hajasuluhishwa. Kitu kingine mimi ningependa kuambia Wakenya ni hivi. Nilifunzwa hivi. Shilingi moja iko na peni 10. Shilingi moja ya Kenya iko na peni 10. Shilingi 10 iko na peni 100. Shilingi 100 iko na peni 1000. Wakati unatoa 100 yako unapatia askari unamhonga, unarudishaga Wakenya 1000 nyuma. Kama ni nafasi ya kazi, ni watu 1000 wamekosa nafasi.
Juzi tulisikia Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga akisema atachukua corrupt people wote, wengine wakwe komiti, wengine wakwe Shimo la Tewa, wengine wakwe Kodiaga na everywhere. Ulisikia wengapi walipiga kelele? Wakenya wenyewe unasikia wakisema Raila ameongea vibaya. Nao wakora ndio tunakaa nao na tunakunywa nao, na sisi ndio tunaumia.
Shida ya Kenya ni kazi iongezeke, production iende juu. Hii kuhonga mtu wa traffic always itakuwa mbele.
Kazi ziongezeke, ufisadi uishe.
Ufisadi itaisha, hata Amerika, hata Israel.
Hawezi isha.
Ufisadi hawezi isha.
Lakini nchini inaonekana umekithiri sana kushinda mataifa mengine. Je, dawa ni gani?
Bana, ni media, watu wameweka focus hapo. We have been made to believe that if there is no corruption.
Lakini kwa kuna ufisadi humu nchini.
Iko ya kawaida vile iko Israel, vile iko Amerika, vile iko Swaziland.
There's a problem with the executive and the judiciary. Whenever judiciary sets out to prosecute a corruption case, there's a lot of interference from the executive. When the two arms of the government are not working in concert, we shall have cases pending in courts for years and years, and they will never be determined, and the same people implicated in those cases will still walk scot-free. So if there is no commitment with the government, that is the executive, to assist the judiciary to fast-track all corruption cases, then we shall not be heading anywhere. Tunapata cases za corruption zinachukua muda mwingi kwa koti sababu ya bail. For these cases to take a short period of time, wanafaa kuondoa bail ndo watu corruption cases zishughulikiwe haraka.
That's all we had for you from the Bunge la Mwananchi. I am Majibu Kisao. Many thanks to all those who made this conversation a success, all those who contributed. My camera person Wellington. Till next time, God bless.
Wakenya wengi wanasafa. Tunajua pesa ni mingi Kenya, lakini iko kwa mifuko ya wachache.
Uchumi wa nchi unazorota.
Now, from the business desk, more than 100 traders who lost their businesses in a fire breakout in Ukambani have to part with 100,000 shillings to get a stall constructed by the government. The newly constructed Quarry Road Market was constructed after 122 traders lost their businesses in 2014. The traders say that once the project was completed, the committee heading the project asked every business person affected by the fire then to part with 100,000 shillings to get a stall. To their surprise, the traders say they have been allocated a stall for 2 people.
Many thanks for staying with us. My name is Cedric Oronje, and now let's get sporty. Now, 2019 Women Premier League champions Vihiga Queens have been pooled in Group C of the upcoming Confederation of Africa Football Women's Champions League qualifiers. The 3-time top-tier champions will clash with Djibouti's FAD and Rwanda's Scandinavian in the Council for East and Central Africa Football Association's qualifiers for July 17th to August 1st. The matches will take place at Kenya's Nyayo National Stadium and at the Moi International Sports Centre Kasarani. CAF has said it introduced the championship to help develop women's football in the continent. Now moving over to matters rugby, where the Rugby Africa Cup competition, which doubles up as Africa's qualifiers for the 2023 Rugby World Cup, continues this weekend with the fixtures which began in November 2019 have been spread over different host countries across Africa. The first match of the weekend will see Uganda play Ghana at Chadondo Rugby Grounds on Sunday. Kenya Simbas will host, who lost 2019 to Senegal last weekend, will be looking to keep their World Cup qualification hopes alive when they face Zambia at Nyayo National Stadium, while Ivory Coast play Madagascar at Alassane, Qatar. Now, still over matters local sports, where Tusker cemented their top position in the Kenya Premier League after coming from behind to beat defending champions Gor Mahia 2-1. Gor Mahia took the lead after 14 minutes through Tito Okello, who tapped in Kenneth Mugune's free kick from close range. Boniface Mushiri restored a priority for the Brewers in the 56th minute before Tusker grabbed a victory in the 90th minute to secure all 3 points for the Brewers. Elsewhere, Kevin Kimani and Boniface Omondi were on target to help Wazito overcome Vihiga United 2-0, while AFC Leopards reduced the gap with the league leaders to 7 points after a 2-0 victory over Bandari. Now shifting borders to international matters, where Peru and Colombia face off to battle for the third spot in this year's edition of the Copa America in Brasilia. A game purely meant to restore pride for both teams. Peru and Colombia fell Brazil and Argentina in the semi-finals respectively, and both nations are ready to restore some pride by clinching the third spot. Colombia came into this game still as heavyweights of the continent. However, unlike Peru, they stood a chance to reach the final only for their penalty shooters to fail them. Peru, meanwhile, will be hoping their tournament ends with a win and the third place. Now this one is a big one for NBA lovers, because despite Giannis Antetokounmpo's best efforts, the Bucks headed back to Milwaukee 2-0 down the 2021 NBA Finals after a 118-108 loss. The two-time NBA MVP totaled 42 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists and 3 blocks in Game 2. But the hot shooting Suns still managed to keep the Bucks at bay throughout the contested. Devin Booker led all Suns players with 31 points, hitting 7 of his 12 three-pointers. Mikal Bridges scored 27 points and Chris Paul bagged 23 points. But the same couldn't be said for Bucks guard Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton, who went a combined 12 of 37 from the field. The Bucks need to be much better if they truly need they truly need to challenge Phoenix in this series.
Booker against Connaughton. Crowder tries the three-pointer. It's good. Jay Crowder with his ball gets away from Holiday. It's a wide open shot.
Now that is all for now for more Sporting Desk, and of course we're just getting gassed up for more sporting action because it's the weekend. But for now, my name is Cedric Oronje. Have a good night. God bless. Back to you, Lincoln.
Well, thank you, Cedric. Sports News by Cedric Oronje wrap up our news broadcast tonight. Many thanks for watching. I am Lincoln Wambugu. Our sign language interpreter is Michael Maithia. Good evening.